Good morning and welcome back to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the Q&A portion of the show. We were just comparing the Sokani LED light to the Aputure LED light. If you somehow missed that show and are watching this, go back first, watch that, because that's the important part. You get all the good meat. And here we're just talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. Let's see if we can answer some questions on here. Pulling up my Q&A. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. People saying good morning and hello. Jake giving me a hard time about the micro scale. Excellent. You'll have to watch the show to understand what that's all about. And Mike, we were talking about how you've abused your M9 LEDs. That would be the Aputure ones. The AL-M9 is the full model number on there. For years, they do not disappoint. Favorite part is powering them all day from external batteries. There you go. But he's going to try out the Sokani. Well, there you go. See, that's, so you got advantages, disadvantages of each. And Nick Bogart had a great question. Any weather seal rating like IP67? No, not that I've seen, and I'm just going to flat out say there's no way, because look at both of these. Let's go for the close-up camera here. This is, oops, where's the focus point? There it is. This is an actual hole. Like those are, or you can see as I pivot it. So this would fill up with water like a miniature swimming pool. This one, that's interesting. This one could, because that's a full plastic cover. Here the LEDs are actually exposed. This one they're not, but they certainly didn't say anything about weather sealing in all of my communication with them. So I'd be very, very surprised if that was something that they had and left out of their communique. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say most likely no. I can't guarantee 100% that there's no weather sealing, but I think they'd talk about it if there was. So we're going to go with no on that one. Burns is talking about the powering of it. So he's saying, okay, that makes sense. Burns is saying that the Aputure light works off of pass-through charging, meaning that it's the USB power is powering the light as well as charging it, whereas the Sokani is essentially running off of the battery itself only, meaning the battery has to get charged up. The reason for that becomes clear when you watch the actual video. We talked about when I plugged it in when they were dead, it took a moment, it took a few minutes before the Sokani to turn on, whereas the Aputure came on instantaneously. So there's that. Cool, very good points. Yeah, thank you for elaborating on that. That's the only questions up there. If you guys have more questions, get them back in here real quick before we take off. Oh, Construction Podcast, and don't forget, please do put PhotoJoseph in front of your question. That way I know it's a question. Construction Podcast, though, is saying, in regards to your previous show, okay, could you compare the Pearl Mini with the Blackmagic ATEM Television Studio HD with the Web Presenter and HyperTech Studio MIDI bundle? Yikes. That's a lot of comparisons, a lot of gear I'd have to get. Well, here, let me tell you what. I had already asked Epiphan, makers of the Pearl, about doing comparisons, and they have started putting together comparison charts to compare the features. I think they had both of those in there. I don't remember. I'd have to look back. Anyway, that's something that they're working on, which the formats that they were showing me were very nicely polished, so I'm imagining this is eventually going to be for their website once they're done. But I will make sure that those are on the list, because I'm not totally sure if they are. And offhand, I don't really know what either of those are doing, because I haven't used either of those. What I will say is that in all the comparisons that I've seen so far, the big wins for the Pearl were using more inputs, right? It has 3 inputs. It can use all of them at once. Most of the devices only have 2 inputs, and even one of the ones, I don't remember which it was, that had 3 inputs could only use 2 of them at once. It couldn't use all 3. Plus the ability to stream to multiple locations at once and simultaneously record multiple streams was a pretty big win on the Pearl. Pearl's a nice device. It really is. It's very robust. And if you haven't seen that, we'll link to that up here. You can go back and watch the Pearl Mini tour that I did on what was that, Wednesday. It's a higher priced device for encoding, streaming, doing your layout switching, but I think well worth it. A very, very nice product. Tactical Toolbox says, off topic, okay, do I foresee, I'm imagining that's supposed to be a D, do I foresee Panasonic integrating AF autofocus in the VFR mode in future updates of future cameras? I don't know why we don't get, for those of you who don't understand what he's saying, VFR is variable frame rate, so that's the high speed / slow motion shooting mode. On Panasonic cameras, for a reason that I don't know, we don't have autofocus while in VFR modes. Whereas some cameras, I think the Sonys, I believe, do. I don't know why there isn't autofocus in there. I don't know if it's a processing power issue. I don't know if, I just don't know. So unfortunately, the answer is I don't know. I would imagine that's the kind of thing that they would like to do. So if they didn't do it, it's for a reason. It's not like they just forgot. which probably means that it's not something that could come in a firmware update. Given that we've had multiple firmware updates for the GH5 and the GH5S, I very seriously doubt that's something that will come in the future. Maybe on a next generation camera. Again, since I don't know why it can't be done or it isn't being done, maybe that's something that can be done in the future. But by all means, make that request publicly known. And I know it's out there. I mean, people in the forums and videos are always talking about that. That's one of those kind of, come on, why isn't that there type features. Just, be vocal about it as you are right now, and hopefully we'll see that in a future update. But unfortunately, since I don't know why, I can't speak to whether it would come or not, or whether it would be even technically possible. Burns is saying there's no mention of any IP rating for either product, so yeah, you'd say no to both. Good. I'm glad you agree with me. Yeah, IP ratings are a big deal, so if you've got one, you're going to talk about it. So yeah, that's, like I said, this one's all open. If you're just talking about dirt and dust, given that this one doesn't seem to have any big openings, this is the Sokani versus the Aputure that does have big openings, I would say that the Sokani will be better in a dirty environment, but rating-wise, it doesn't seem to be one for either. Construction podcast asking any wishes on the upcoming Panasonic firmware update. Oh, I have many wishes. I always have wishes. The only thing that I would say I still really, really wish that we had, and I have asked for it multiple times, is a better indicator that you are actually recording. Because the Panasonic flashes a red recording light on the LCD as opposed to just a constant light, it is easy to not know if you're recording or not. You push the record button when you're not looking at the screen, and then you glance down, and it just happens to be in an off state, and it was already recording, but you don't think it was, so you hit the button again, and now you just stopped recording. It has happened to me, and it's happened to others. So I've requested that along with a constant light, along with a red box. If you've ever used an Atomos recorder, you've seen when you hit record, you get a big red box outline all the way around the screen. It's a transparent overlay, so you still see the stuff behind it. I have requested that because that would allow you to see it without a question that it's recording. Plus, it would allow you to see it from across the room. Because I often do things where I have my camera set up and like filming myself, and I'm on the other side of the room, and I'm either triggering it with a remote or a long cable, and I push it and I go, I think it's recording. So I really want that feature. So that is my #1 feature request for a future firmware update. I keep asking. I keep on asking. Let's see here. It's Burns, Texas. It's hard to hear the sound of crunching debris in the micro USB port. Yeah, both of these have open micro USB ports for charging. So yes, you would. If you had sound in there, you would definitely get a little bit of crunchy. Okay. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope that was interesting and educational. Again, if you decide to buy either one of these lights, I would appreciate if you use my affiliate links down below. That is always appreciated. And at the end of the day, I mean, they're both great lights. I've been using the Aputure one for a while. The Sokani obviously is the newer one to me. They both put out great amount of light, longer duration as we saw on the Aputure, but they do both put out very good amount of light. And I don't have a way to measure quality. I don't have a way to do a what do you call that? A Q? No, it's Q. Anyway, you know what I mean. The rendering quality index, whatever that's called. I don't have a way to measure that, so yeah, I don't know which one's supposed to be better there. But everything I've seen looks pretty good. All right, guys. Oh, okay. Here we go. One more. We're gonna pull this up. Burns says, I wish the GH5 didn't have the audio clip at the very beginning of recording. It's not a huge deal, but annoying when coming from the GH4 and having to remember to stay quiet at the start. Audio clip. I thought when I first started reading, I thought you were talking about the very silent first quarter second or so that's at every clip. Audio clip at the beginning, not a huge deal, but annoyingly coming from the GH4, have to remember to stay quiet. I don't know quite what you mean, Burns, because the GH4 also has the silence at the beginning. CRI index is the coloring rendering index. Thank you, Burns. That's what I was, not quality index, color rendering index. Thank you. Okay, so Burns is talking about the silence of the recording, but the GH4 did the same thing, didn't it? I'm pretty sure. It's been a while now, but I'm pretty sure that GH4 did that as well. Yeah, I know it is. That little weird, very, very short part in the beginning where it's silent. I don't quite understand. Burns says yours didn't. Okay, maybe mine didn't either, and I'm just misremembering. I don't know. Hey, okay, if you guys, I gotta get better. I should have asked this question at the end of the original video, but let's ask this question. What LED lights are you using? If you're using either of these, let me know. If you're using another one, let me know. There's, I'm sure, lots of other little LED lights like this on the market. These are the only two that I have played with. I'm happy to do more comparisons. So if you guys know of more of them out there that you love for any good reason, don't tell me to go test one that you know is a piece of crap. There's no point in that. But if you know there's some good ones out there that you think could stand up to these, especially to the Aputure, let me know, and I'll do that. Okay, we're out of here, folks. Take care of yourselves. we are going to call it a day. It is a Friday. It is time for a weekend, which means it's time for me to get back in here and finish up my other project. Hey, take care of yourselves. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.